every time I come to these dang frickin' Sony events, they sell me on a camera. And I'm gonna have to somehow find a way to buy one. View from my hotel room in New York City tonight. I just got done with a Sony meeting where they announced and told us all about the A7R Mark III. Yep, the A7R Mark III has been announced, and I'm going to tell you all about it right now. Hey guys, this is Steve Huff at SteveHuffPhoto.com, or I should say from SteveHuffPhoto.com. I'm here today in New York City in my hotel room where I just had a meeting, a briefing with Sony and the new camera, which I don't have in my hands, but it's the A7R III, the A7R Mark III, and I used a good old-fashioned ink pen and a good old-fashioned pad of paper to take so many notes, because this camera that is going to be available as of November 30th this year, so next month, is pretty freaking amazing. Here I am shooting this on my A9, and I love my A9, but my A9 I use 90% for video because of the AF performance is so phenomenal. But the A7R II has some amazing specs. Let me find where I wrote most of all of this stuff. Okay, now some interesting things. I'm going to tell you all the details that I just got from Sony on this camera. First of all, first things first, $31.99 is going to be the price, available November 30th. Okay, so it keeps the same price point as when the A7R II was launched. You have the same sensor. They're using the same sensor as the A7R II, the 42.4 megapixel sensor. But they changed the whole architecture of the camera to not only increase the dynamic range to 15 stops, they've increased the ISO performance, they've increased the 5-axis performance to give you a half a stop better performance, 14-bit RAW, 10 frames per second, and the AF performance is twice as fast as the A7R II, and it uses some of the tech from the A9. You have the EVF of the A9, and this is really cool. The A9 battery system is now in the A7R III. You also have dual card slots. It's almost like an A9R, but I have the feeling they're saving the A9R Pro for a later date, which will be 50-60 megapixels. But the A7R III looks quite amazing. It has 4K HDR video. Again, I'm just going to read some of the notes that I took, and as I wrote them with my chicken scratch writing. But it's pretty exciting. I was like, man, I bought this A9 for $4,500, but I'll keep the A9 for my video because the A7R III doesn't have the all-out AF performance of the A9. Let's see what else we got here. The IAF of the A7R III is double speed, so twice as fast, I wrote double speed, as the Mark II. You have silent shutter at 10 frames per second. Sony says the A7R III is the highest image quality of any camera Sony has ever made. So if you want all-out image quality with a slew of amazing features, this camera sounds phenomenal. There's no low-pass filter. They're claiming overwhelming improvements to the image quality. Even though it's the same sensor, they were trying to explain that they improved everything else to be able to do this. Smoother, more natural gradations. You can shoot uncompressed RAW at 10 frames per second. But if you do that, if you shoot uncompressed RAW at 10 frames per second, it will go to 12-bit. If you shoot normal frames per second, you'll have the full 14-bit. You have an all-new shutter with the A7R II. It's not the one from the A9, it's not the one from the A7R II. It's an all-new shutter designed for reduced vibration. As I mentioned earlier, it has a half speed of comp in 5-axis, so it's 5.5 step. Autofocus, 399 phase detect, and 425 for contrast AF. Subject tracking is now twice as fast as the A7R II. Again, 2x the speed over Mark II. It has touch autofocus, so they do that, have the touch panel on the LCD. A joystick, it has a joystick. You have full pixel readout for 4K video capture, S-Log 3. You can do full HD 1080p at 120 frames per second, and it will record HDR for use with HLG. Sony TVs will automatically recognize the footage. But as I said earlier, one of the cool things is the new Z battery. So you're using the A9 battery, and you're going to get 2.2 times the capacity of the previous A7R II battery. Dual SD slots, 3.7 million dot quad VGA OLED finder. It's the A9 EVF, which is amazing. Dust and moisture resistant, silent shooting with continuous AF, continuous AE at 10 frames per second. Pixel shift multi-shooting captures 4 pixel shifted images, which total 169 million pixels. But then it is composited into a 42 megapixel high-res image. And what are the improvements? You know, Olympus has the pixel shift technology, but their image gets blown up to a higher resolution. The Sony's does not do a higher resolution. It's taking 169.6 million pixels, all that information, and it's compositing it down to the standard 42 megapixel. And where you're benefiting from that is you're going to see better detail in that file, better gradations. You're going to reduce your noise and your moire, all that kind of stuff. But you do need to shoot on a tripod, and it takes the 4 different shots. But it is a mode on the camera, pixel shift multi-shooting, which basically improves everything if you have the time and you're shooting something like a landscape. But they showed some demos of the Focus shooting eagles, and man, it was pretty amazing, these prints. They're saying again, the IQ, don't let it fool you that they're using the same sensor as the previous version. Everything else has been improved, so they were able to basically enhance everything and up the ante on image quality and noise and all that good stuff. And you know what? I don't think there's a DSLR that will shoot silent shooting 10 frames per second with continuous AF and AE. That's pretty amazing right there for this kind of resolution in a full frame camera. Sony also announced a brand new lens, an all-rounder 24-105 f4 full frame E-mount lens. It's going to launch at the same time as the A7R III. There will not be a kit bundle. If you want that lens, you'll have to buy them separate. I believe, I know I wrote it down, $12.99. Direct drive motor, lightest, sharpest, and smallest in its class. They showed us some comparisons to the Nikon and Canon equivalent, and the Sony blew it out of the water, as well as it was the smallest and lightest at 633 grams. Constant f4 aperture, and it has responsive manual focus, which they say will be a joy to use for video. So the A7R III, oh, there's one more thing. They announced they are developing a 400mm f2.8 with plans to release in the summer of 2018. But yeah, that's pretty much everything in. Let's see what we have. I might have more here. Oh, here we go. Oh no, I already read all this. So basically it has everything that people have wanted or asked for. I mean, it appears, the basic, what it comes down to is the A9 battery, the A9 EVF, the dual SD slots, using AF tech from the A9, and while it's impossible to be as fast as the A9 due to the sensor, it's twice as fast as the A7R Mark II. 14-bit RAW. 5-axis has been improved to give you even more steadiness, even with video. 15 stops of dynamic range. ISO goes from 100 to 32,000 natively. You can boost that to 102,400, I believe. The A7R III, I'm sorry, seems to be pretty much a wow camera. And a lot of people are going to say, well, now that the A7R IIs are clearing out at like 20-some hundred, should I buy that over the A7R III? Only you can answer that question, because you have to ask yourself, do you want to shoot any fast-moving subjects? Do you want faster AF for video? A lot of people just use manual focus for video. Do you want the dual SD slots? Do you want the longer battery life? Do you want the new quick and slow features where you just set a dial or go into the menu and you can set your quick and slow, shoot some slow motion, some fast motion, which I don't really use with the Sony A9 at all. But you know, you have to ask yourself if you want the new features, the touch screen, the dynamic range. Everything has been improved. So me, I would go with the A7R III. You guys know that already. And you know what? Every time I come to these dang frickin' Sony events, they sell me on a camera. Now tomorrow I get to use the camera. Tonight, they didn't give us, we didn't get to see the camera yet. We just saw slideshows and prints, and we were given all the information. Tomorrow, a bunch of us journalists are going out to shoot the camera, and we're going to have hands-on. And I guess by the time you're watching this, when I can release it, it'll already be tomorrow. So as you're watching this, if you're watching it when I put it out, I'm out shooting the A7R III right now. I will have an update video or 2 or 3, as well as sample images. And I'm going to have to somehow find a way to buy one. I don't really need one though. So I don't know if I will buy one, but man, it sounds incredible, guys. So I can't wait to use it tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So that's all the news on the A7R III. I had to wait till 2:30 in the morning to upload this video because it's under embargo until then. But it looks to be like one hell of a camera, guys. And tomorrow or the next day I'll have a video up of it in my hands. I'll be able to share images of it and with it. And yeah, that's my thoughts on it after just hearing about it. So let's wait until I can use it and we'll see how it goes. But Sony is just kicking butt as always. They're like going after everything and everyone. It seems to be. They're going after Canon, they're going after Nikon. I think those are their main targets. I feel in mirrorless, in general, they're already ahead of the pack. I think Sony is got it when it comes to versatility. If you guys didn't see my video, 10 reasons why I love the A7R II, you should take a look at that. It's on this channel. I'll link it in the description. It goes over every reason why I loved that A7R II. And now that the A7R III is coming with all of these enhancements and upgrades, you know, I'm probably going to end up getting one, and then I'll have a video in a year saying 10 reasons why I love the A7R Mark III. Now, so Sony's kicking butt, taking names, and moving right along full steam ahead. I'll have the next video soon. If you like this video, thumbs up and subscribe. This is Steve Huff from SteveHuffPhoto.com. I'll see you next time. Bye.